Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. You guys, I know I've been working with this beautiful woman for a number of years, off and on. We've done all kinds of little interesting things together. And I'm going to tell you all about her in just a moment. But first of all, I want to let you know that this is being sponsored by A Spiritual How To. This is available on all the Amazons. And right now, I'm currently doing this on my Instagram lives as well as I'm reading all the chapters. And I have an incredible program, a 6-month program that has ever-evolving enrollment into it. And that's the Spiritual How-To that teaches you how to connect with your little you, how to really understand the expectations, limiting beliefs, and triggers that are going on in your life. And it's a really magical program. A number of people have gone through it for a number of years, in fact, and I just love watching their growth because we are ever evolving. So, hi, everybody. I'm Sandra Pelli Sandini, Inner Peace Mentor, as well as Visionary of the Guide Academy. And I have a very special treat for you today. I am leading up to this beautiful Empowering Extravaganza on February 7th, 8th, and 9th. And it's about the little you and the higher self. And I have a magical guest speaker with me, Keira Lani. She is actually, I'll bring up, bear with me. I thought I was so totally prepared. I'll read you her bio so you got a little bit more information about her. Keira Lani is the founder of Qigong. She is your guide on the journey to vibrant health and an authentic life lived from your heart. Deepen your connections, express your authentic self, and unlock your superpowers. Keira Lani helps healers master their energy to unleash their true gifts. She creates healing Qigong retreats by connecting people to their true nature through connection with trees, transformational breathwork, mindful movement, meditation, and journaling. She offers personal medical Qigong, I'm going to have to get you to pronounce that for me, healing sessions and online energy cultivation courses utilizing her skills in Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, transformational breathwork, and meditation. Keira is a writer of prose and poetry, a speaker, and a performer. She uses her artistic voice to help others help others access creative power and live authentically from the heart. Keira Lani has been a lifelong spiritual seeker and energy awareness practitioner. She began her self-guided meditation practice at the age of 5. She spent much of her childhood alone in nature, climbing trees, writing songs, reading, and practicing yoga. Her teenage years were spent pursuing theatrical ventures and studying Spanish. She has dedicated her adult life to exploring esoteric philosophy and healing movement arts. She discovered in her early 20s that through deep listening, she could communicate with trees. Keira Lani combines ancient self-healing arts with scientific body knowledge to create a powerful transformational experience. She bravely explores her inner landscape and shadow self so that she can guide you on your inner journey. I just really kind of wanted to hone in as well too that she's so absolutely remarkable. We've spent often like little spaces here and there together. She created this beautiful event which really empowered me to step into the energy of learning and figuring out water to a whole different degree in my life, and then being able to bring it to my community as well too. She's has this beautiful TEDx speech, I think it's called, and it's so empowering, and I hope you really get to witness it, and maybe that's something that she can bring to us. I'm not sure how she delivers that, but that won't be today, but maybe that's something she'll deliver to our group in the future. Without further ado, let me introduce you to Keira Lani. Hi.
Hi, thank you, Sandra, for that beautiful introduction. It's so nice to be here with you again. It's been a while.
It has. We actually got to meet each other in person back in March 2019. We were at a conference, same conference together, and for me that was a life-changing moment at that conference, everything that went down, but meeting you was just this beautiful icing on the cake. I remember when we saw each other, it was just like one of those magical, almost like one of those run across the beach and hug each other kind of moments. It was so funny. But yeah, I love your energy and I love what you're about. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and I just want to hear a little bit more about your journey from your point of view, if you don't mind, please.
Absolutely. As you heard in my bio, I've been on this journey since I was a young child, and it really started. I've really realized how much this journey started with the death of my father at a young age. I was just 5 when he left the planet, and this was definitely a make or break moment in my life. My papa was my world, and then he was suddenly gone. And so I wanted to know, where did he go? What happens after we die? I was blessed to have a mother with a strong meditation practice, and I went into the forest and started to meditate myself. I connected with my spirit guides when I was very young, which makes me really excited and passionate about the work that Sandra does with the little you and the higher self. This has been a really big part of my journey to heal my early childhood traumas so that I can bring forth the higher gifts that I came into this body to express. My soul came in with an awareness that I'm here for something larger, something greater. Um, and I keep thinking Sandra is going to come back. I'm sure
I
she.
am right here. I'm just giving you the floor.
Okay, you are here the whole time. I wasn't sure if you actually fell off or because you can see me, but I can't see you when you go down. That's funny.
Well, and I'm just attempting different layouts, I guess you could say, right?
Okay, I love that. I appreciate you giving me the floor, and it was very lovely. I just was like, is she gone or is she still here?
Fair enough, right? That's one of the funny things about StreamYard is the things that the host can see that the guests are unable to see. So if you're joining us live, would love for you to be making comments. Right now, there's just you and I in this beautiful space of energy, and let's talk a little bit more about that. I'm fascinated about your tree energy because for me, as an avid mountain biker, man, I can just feel the emotion coming up through my sacral and my solar plex already, just talking about my connection to trees and that this real lack of that currently of the physical connection because of the weather that we've been having, because I've not been out on my bike like I usually have been. And maybe tell us a little bit about your connection with trees. And I know I've watched a lot of your lives where you've been out there and you've been doing your thing with the trees. Maybe as well as telling us a little bit about that tree energy, also tell us about how we can create that in our own home when we're sitting in our own space so that someone like myself, like, I mean, obviously I know I can connect distantly, but what are some steps that maybe we can do, please?
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. So as I'm going to kind of pick up a little bit where I left off because I believe that the fact that I spent so much time climbing trees and playing in the fairy forest really opened me up to this deeper connection to trees that happened in my 20s when I first discovered that I could communicate with trees more deeply. I always actually talked to them. I just didn't know that they would talk back to me. So my experience was with a tree that my mother named Grandpa Cedar. And this tree stands as a sentinel at the end of a walk that she takes almost every single day. When I was in my 20s, I was a young mother and I went back to live on this land that I grew up on and go back through the fairy forest that I played in as a child, as a young adult, and connect with this tree. And it was really just a space of reverence for us, for my mother and I, to pause, hug the tree, smell the cedar, And we would find sometimes one of the things I loved to do when I was young is find things in the forest and then leave them with Grandpa Cedar on my way out of the forest, like a little mushroom or a feather that I could stick into his bark. And then I felt like I was giving back some of the gifts that the forest gave to me. Now, one day, my mom had gone to Hawaii, and I took this walk by myself. And this time it was a little bit different. I leaned in and I hugged Grandpa Cedar. I inhaled that sweet cedar aroma. And then I suddenly felt like Grandpa Cedar was grabbing me and pulling me in closer, holding me onto his trunk. And actually, I felt the energy from my belly go into the trunk and all the way up to the tippy top of the branches. And I said, Grandpa Cedar, will you please look out for my mother way over there across the ocean in Hawaii? And I visualized her in my mind sitting there on the beach in Hawaii. And then I said, don't worry, Grandpa, we'll stay connected. And I just drew all that energy back into my belly and went back to my little cabin with my little boys. And this blew my mind. But what really blew my mind was the next morning before dawn, I sat in meditation and I thought to myself, I wonder if I'm really still connected to Grandpa Cedar. And so I just sent my awareness back to that tree. And immediately I found myself floating in an electric web of light. I could feel that this was a global network of tree communication spanning the entire planet. And I just floated there for a while. And then I came out of my meditation and I was just like, wow, that was such a beautiful experience. And I, of course, had to share it with my mother since she was such a big part of it. And when I did call her later, she said, wow, I was wondering why Grandpa Cedar came to me when I was sitting on the beach yesterday. And so this showed me that we don't have to be right there hugging the tree to have the most profound connection with those trees. And so,
Mm.
to answer your question earlier, if you have a special tree that you like to visit, it will be much easier to connect from your home when it's cold outside and you're not able to actually go physically there. And so I highly encourage making a relationship first. And if you haven't already connected with a tree in the way that you feel like you know the personality of that tree, I encourage you to start with one that just particularly calls to you when you go out for a walk, or maybe it grows right near your home. And then you can make that relationship with the tree physically, and then it will be something you can carry with you. Now, you also can, like Sandra said, I have many videos in my archive. If you go to Keira Lani Qigong Healer on Facebook or YouTube, you can connect with a tree that I've connected with and experience the wisdom the way it comes through me. The wisdom of the trees will come through each one of us a little bit differently because it's a connection between your spirit and the spirit of that tree. And so I really encourage exploring what it is to you. And the way that I usually start people, if you're not familiar, is to physically experience a tree. What does the tree look like? What is the shape when you look at it from far away? What is the color? What are the textures? What does it feel like to walk into the biosphere of a tree? the Heart Math Institute has studied how trees affect human emotions and how they are also affected by human emotions. And so, just like we have an energy field around our physical body, the tree has an energy field that is similarly expanded around its physical body. So, notice, when do you start feeling like the energy around me feels a little different? And then, as you get closer and actually physically touch the bark of the tree, what is that texture? Is there a sense of a vibration in the tree? And I definitely encourage the full body hug, because when you're all the way connecting physically with the tree, you can really feel how some trees, their energy feels like it's really going down into their roots. Sometimes it feels like it's rising up and really bubbly. Some trees will really want to pull you in, and some trees might kind of be saying, give me my space. So pay attention to what you notice when you connect with a tree. And then you can recreate this in your meditation practice inside your home whenever you're feeling like you need that nourishment that being in nature gives you.
And, as you were speaking, I had this very profound moment of connection with a tree that was in the yard of a house that we had owned in the town I'm currently in right now. We had owned this house for about, probably more than 10 years, actually, the longest time we've ever owned any place. And a huge tree was in the backyard. And we made a really major decision at one point to cut down one of the three big portions that were coming out. It had a massive bottom, but then it had three big portions come out. And we made the decision, which broke my heart on one hand, to cut one of these great big sections out so that we could park an RV in there. And I did all this beautiful work with the tree, thanking it for its service, thanking it for its shelter, thanking it for the future things that I would get from it. And then I went a step further with that tree and actually asked my husband, when we're chopping it down or when we're cutting it down, could you, not the whole tree, just this piece, can you save me some branches, right? So he found some very straight branches for me. And then I actually, my dad was over and he literally showed me how to peel the bark. So I got to have this beautiful connection with my dad that took it a step further. And then I had taken off the little knobs and sanded it down. And I'm actually in the process of creating a shaman staff with one of those branches. I have one of them behind me here. Let me see if I can get behind it, where I have feathers in it to honor both the birds and the branch. I have another one up here that has all my necklaces hanging on it. So it has this continued connection, and I didn't realize I was still so ultimately connected to this tree, even though we sold that house in July of 2020, I believe. Yes, July 2020. And I still feel like it's my tree. I've climbed up that tree. I've nurtured that tree. I've trimmed that tree. I've taken pictures of the bumblebees and all these things in it. So thank you for bringing my awareness to that connection. And I think that's really important too for maybe to speak about too, because I think that there's a lot going on with nature right now, and you're probably one of the best people to talk to about this. I know that there's someone in my medicine wheel program, but they're in the process of working with an arborist, I believe is the word, because the tree, as the outward appearance, looks very healthy, but the inwards appearance, the big frost that they experienced last year literally destroyed the root system or something, and it's like really hollowed out and quite precarious health, and they have to bring it down. So she was wondering about how do I honor this, and I told her about my experience with the tree and honoring these pieces of it, etc. And she's also talked about feng shui, but maybe give us a little bit of what I mean. Obviously, we feel very connected to these trees, and it is very it's very sad when a tree comes down. So how do we cope with that, and how do we honor the trees in that case?
Thank you for asking, Sandra. I'd like to share another story in response to this question, because the trees have shown me something really quite amazing that can help us not only in processing the loss of a beloved tree, which can impact us just like losing a beloved human or pet companion in our lives, but it also speaks to our deeper spiritual journey and the true essence of life, because there is no life without death. And trees are very cognizant of the cycles and the seasons and the greater cycle of life that includes the transformation of the journey of death. And when I was in Sedona, I witnessed these beautiful juniper trees that grow there. And they live a very long time and they die very slowly. And so I first connected with one that appeared to be dead and its spirit was really strong. And then I kept noticing how some of them looked like they were dead, but then half of it was still alive. And so they were probably going through a similar transformation to the tree that your friend is witnessing the passing of. And so I connected with one of these dead, not dead juniper trees. And they showed me, I walked through, so at first I connected with one of them and they started to show me this connection with the transformation, the transmutation of their form. And then I found one that was completely a standing dead tree that was actually kind of getting loose in its roots. It had already stopped producing all leaves, and there was so much life in that standing dead tree. And they showed me that when the tree dies, when its body dies, the consciousness does not die. The consciousness transforms. The form is changing into a different form. It's not going away. And so when that tree comes down, you can still honor the tree right there where it is, changing form, transforming into a different form of consciousness, but not losing the essence of that consciousness. So I've known many people to continue, if there's a stump left, continuing to come and connect with that stump, maybe bring offerings, but just taking the time to sit with the tree as it's in that process is such a powerful opportunity to be guided by the tree. To you can sit there with the tree and say, I love you so much. It's sad for me to see you go from your beautiful form. How may I assist you in this transition time? And the tree may show you what will help it. The tree may say, oh, just having you here with me brings so much comfort. And of course, trees don't all usually speak in words. Our brain will translate them into thoughts and ideas, but the tree will share with you, if you're there in reverence and quiet, what would most assist that tree in this time.
I love that. That brings up a really powerful point, and I'm kind of link this back to the empowering extravaganza that's happening in February 7th, 8th, and 9th because of the connection with spirit, the little you and the higher self, and that's what you're essentially doing is you're connecting with that higher self energy of the tree. And you talked about the thought, and it's about understanding that there's so many different ways of communicating out there. And in communicating, it's that awareness, first of all, that knowing, just have a beautiful knowing in your heart that you are communicating with the tree. Even if you think that that tree isn't responding to you, know that you are communicating with that tree. And then open yourself up to allowing and receiving whatever message that wants to come from the trees as well. And then that's where those words that pop into your head, that's what Kira's talking about right there. So tell us a little bit about the spirit warrior, because that sounds absolutely fascinating to me.
Mm. Yeah, well, in my journey, it's funny because it's a little edgy for me to use the word warrior because I am such a pacifist, and yet I grew up thinking, oh, everybody is good, everything is good, and then I found myself under attack at times from malevolent forces, entities that want to suck energy, or just being drained by the collective fear and trauma vibration of the planet. And so, what it means to be a spiritual warrior is to cultivate your physical, energetic, emotional, mental vessel, this amazing body, mind, spirit that we get to enjoy in this life, to cultivate yourself to the level that you are not going to be drained by helping others, because you'll be connected directly to true source energy and overflowing with light in order to give to others. You will not, for the same reason that you will not be vulnerable to psychic attacks, or when psychic attacks do come in, you'll be able to clear your energy field. You'll be able to have a very clear, open channel so that guidance comes through clearly. And I know as spiritual practitioners, as spiritual warriors, we may experience self doubt because we're taught to look for the proof and the evidence. And when the evidence is coming through in thoughts and ideas and meditative experiences, sometimes we aren't too sure. But when we cultivate this level of subtle awareness, then we can really banish that self-doubt and live the purpose that we came here to live. I believe that each and every one of us comes into the human form with a soul mission, with our soul knowing what we came here to do. And then as we go through the processes of life and all of the trauma imprints start getting laid down over our blueprint, we lose contact with that sometimes. And so cultivating your spiritual warrior is cultivating your connection to that soul purpose and the ability to stand strong in your center no matter what life throws at you.
I love that phrase, cultivating your spirit warrior. That feels so powerful. And I love that too, because you really give me a very strong awareness of where I'm at, but also to a very strong awareness of how many other people could really use this type of work. And I know you have a beautiful group as well. Also, Trudy Campbell speaks here too about thank you for this beautiful conversation. It reminds me of the Canadian Jane Warren Campbell's work with trees in her book Conversation with the Tree. And I know that you carry on many conversations with the tree. You also have a very beautiful group, mentioning too, though, that you have actually, in the last, I'm not sure how long, you have really been stepping into the energy of self-care, and now you're really starting to amp up what's going on around your world, and coming in at almost a heightened awareness of serving the greater good. So tell us a little bit about your group, if you don't mind.
Sure. My group is really about this spiritual connection to nature and to the true source, God energy that expresses through nature. And I invite healers or those who need to heal from within. As you can see, the Unleash Inner Healer is the core of the work that I do. And coming back to the stumbling block in the bio, Qigong has
Thank
become
you.
the foundation of my work because I found that Qigong, which is, if you don't know what Qigong is Chinese self-healing medicine, and it encompasses movement, self-massage, breath work, um, and meditative practices. It's full holistic way of healing because within we all have an inner healer. We all have the capacity to heal from within, and we all have the capacity to offer healing to others if that feels like a calling to you. Um, and so my group is a place where we come together to learn the practices that allow us to be our most powerful healer, to heal those trauma imprints that I keep mentioning, that we all have trauma experiences in our lives. And sometimes if they don't seem like huge traumas, we discount them, but we're all dealing with things that threw us off balance, or things that we struggle to reconcile in our brain that get in the way of being that clear, open channel I've been talking about. And so I offer a lot of tools. I like to call it the ultimate healer's toolbox because I've been gathering these tools my entire life, and they are pretty wide ranging, and we all have different resonances with different tools. So I try to bring in as many tools from my toolbox as possible so that everyone with their different learning styles and different life experiences will have something to help them. And we have to address um, our being as a whole being if we really want to heal. So these tools include, what do we physically put into our body? What are we eating and drinking on a daily basis? They include, what do we emotionally put into our body? What are we listening to, watching? What are we reading? What are we doing with our time during our day? And I loved that comment about awakening to the healing power of nature. Um, the possibilities here are endless when you actually go into nature, because there's the energetic level I was talking about, where when you go into the biosphere of a tree, that tree energy will just naturally soothe your nervous system and calm down the overstimulation that our modern lifestyle tends to activate in us. And then there's so much learning about the plants and herbs that grow in nature. Herbal medicine healing is also something that I have explored relatively in depth. I haven't done any professional trainings in herbal medicine, but I have used it extensively in my own life. And so I have a lot of wisdom there, and what grows wild that we can actually harvest and eat. How do herbs interact with our body? And I love that you mentioned your shaman stick that you're creating, because it is our true nature as humans to be in shamanic connection with nature. I want to kind of demystify what it means to be a shaman. What a shaman is someone who communicates with nature, who listens to those plant people or connects with animal spirits and receives the wisdom and utilizes it for healing, for their own personal spiritual expansion and growth to help heal others. And shamanic journeying is also a big part of my work in and connecting with those plant medicine beings. And I'm not talking about ingesting them even. I'm talking, although that can be a part of it, but rather just listening to that wisdom of nature can be so powerfully healing.
One of the things I've noticed right here between you and I, first of all, I'm just really loving the comments that are coming in. Always loved trees since I was little. The little more me adores trees. Same here. Mary says it's been so interesting to forage in the last few years as well. And I think probably one of the the most interesting things that I'm finding between you and I in this conversation right now is everybody knows me and I'm just like this, wow, this kind of energy. And you are just this beautiful, kind of energy. And as I sit here in your energy, I'm really enjoying that we can share this space so beautifully. And I think that's what all of this is about, is that, you mentioned the shaman, you mentioned the trees, you mentioned birds and the animals, and all these different bits and pieces. And it is this deeper connection of coexisting ultimately. I think coexisting also has a lot to do with how we're connecting, right? And that's why when I reached out to you to see if you would like to be a guest speaker in this, I just, my experiences with you have been just absolutely magical. Like I said, the water, the connection that I have to water now, I directly put on your shoulders of because of an experience that we had. And when I feel into the energy of that and just how much it helps my own body being aware of water, just everything that you bring to the table is so magical. And to be able to share this space in the Empowering Extravaganza with you is really going to be quite fascinating because of our complete differences in the energy. Yet we're so tapped into and so confident and so um, we feel. How do I say this? Our connection is so strong with spirit, with the trees, with the energy around us, that we can walk in it in different ways and we can share the space together so beautifully. And I love that. I really, really enjoy that. And that's why I do these empowering extravaganzas, is so that people can start to understand all these little bits and pieces of themselves. You spoke of the spirit warrior. I speak of the little you and the higher self. But ultimately, they're all the same. Even though we come at it from different angles, it's all the same thing. It's bringing those parts of ourselves out so that we can enjoy and move forward in, like you said, that soul's mission, that soul's journey. Is there anything you want to add to that? Because I just feel like we're in such a powerful place, you and I want other people experience this real connection in whatever manner that looks like.
Yeah, I am also getting really excited for this empowering extravaganza because of the special gift that it is to be in the presence of this type of collaboration. And I'm getting really excited for the souls that will be called into this empowering extravaganza that we'll be presenting for them. And yeah, as you were talking, several things were coming through. So let me see if I can recapture them. The energy, first, the energy between us, yes, it's amazing. Oh, and the elementals. I was really, when you started talking about water, I was really feeling that elemental energy that comes through, and that's a really strong part of my work, and especially water, because water is the building block of life. There is no life without water. So, breath is the primary nutrient, and water is what keeps us in the physical form. And when we work with the elementals and bring all of our parts together, that was the other thing you said that I'm really passionate about in my work. I like to say, get all your parts on board for the same mission. Sometimes we have, and I see this a lot, that people get really into their spiritual journey and they're meditating and they're going on these amazing journeys, but then they're not integrating it into their day-to-day life. And that's really what my work is about, is how can we integrate the spirit journey into the day-to-day, so that it's not about, oh, I'm trying to maintain that peaceful feeling that I had when I was meditating when the chaos starts around me. But, oh, I'm actually creating a lifestyle where everything I do is a meditation. I'm washing the dishes, I'm in spiritual practice. I'm talking on the phone, I'm in spiritual practice. I'm dealing with the chaotic children running all around me, I'm in spiritual practice. And when we learn to witness ourselves at that level, and it does take practice, there's a reason it's called practice and not achievement, because it's a continual practice throughout our lives. And it's been such a gift to me to witness how my dedication to my own practice has completely changed my experience of life. And even when I go through dark times, I recently went through a dark time and I was remembering what it used to be like for me to go through a dark time and how much I would struggle to pull myself out. And now when I go through a dark time, I say, oh, I'm going into the darkness. I'm being asked to pull back and rest. I'm being asked to look at myself in a new way. And I'm able to, even in those darkest times, maintain my core of inner joy, maintain my essence of spiritual connection. And it's just become second nature to ask for that help from the spirit world when I'm struggling to maintain it in my physical self.
I love how that's bringing up personal truth in my throat here. That is so powerful, so very, very powerful, and that is exactly what we're going to be working with at the Empowering Extravaganza. You guys will notice a bit.ly link on the end of that. Take a moment to snapshot that, or grab the link there. Essentially, Keira and I are coming together, and I'm mostly bringing you into the information of the little you, the higher self. I'm talking about expectations, triggers, limiting beliefs, as well as habits, breaking old habits, creating new habits. We're going to be learning how to connect in with your little you and your higher self. If you have no idea how to do that, if you know how to do it, it's continuing the journey. And then Keira also is bringing in her flavor. I have a very interactive group when we do these things. It's not me talking at you, it's us all working together. Yes, I have material that I want to bring to you, expose you to, share with you, and that's new information that's coming through almost on a daily basis as we amp up towards us. So that's what's so magical about these empowering extravaganzas. As I said, there's a huge difference in the type of energy that myself and Keira bring to the table. So we invite you to this beautiful, empowering extravaganza. Check out that bit.ly link. It'll bring you to the information. And Keira, do you have anything else that you want to say about your part in this empowering extravaganza, as well as I do know that you actually have 3 tickets as well, right? That I've offered you for half price for your community. So
yes, that's right. And I'm so excited to see who is being called into this work that we'll be doing together. And the way that I work is to bring through intuitively guided practices that are designed in the moment for the people that are there. And so when we're there together, I will be tuning in the entire time to the energy, to the needs of the group. And I'll be sharing a little taste of this spiritual warrior cultivation that I have developed through my lifelong practice and professional life.
right on. I am so looking forward to this. Really looking forward to this. So we'll be carrying on this conversation in her group as well as in different areas throughout the weeks leading up to this event. And I look forward to carrying on this conversation and digging more deeply. Thanks a lot, Keira.
Yeah. So if you all want to pop over to the Keira Lani Qigong Healer in about 15 minutes, I'm trying to look at what time it is. At the top of the hour, we'll be going live again to continue this conversation over there. And I'm very excited to keep this rolling because I know over the next few weeks as we prepare for this, there's magic that is happening already. Just setting the intention and creating the space. The healing is already happening. So if you are blessed to be here with us at this time, allow yourself to receive whatever is coming through for you right now. And I look forward to hearing from you if you notice some magic opening up just from participating in the conversation.
Beautifully said. Thanks so much for being here. Take care, everybody.